Ferrari has a lot to be happy about after the Silverstone GP. Even though the Maranello-based squad picked up points with Hamilton only, who finished at P4, the Brit had a legitimate chance to fight for a podium here. And apart from poor strategy, the step that Ferrari made is quite visible. The upgrade seemed to be working in some way, but is there any optimal window for them? And more importantly, where can we see Ferrari in the remainder of 2025? It was a rollercoaster weekend for Ferrari in Silverstone. A race on which they hoped they have at least one driver on the front row turned into a P4, only finish for Hamilton. But there was a significant gamble taken from Leclerc. The Monegasque driver believed that the dryness in the first two sectors was going to be enough for him to push on the slick tires and gain a massive advantage before the heavy rain started to pour down. However, that didn't happen, and he was stuck with Russell and Hadjar at the back, another two drivers who were ready to risk a little bit more. But on the other hand, Hamilton had a very decent pace, and while his race was also going up and down throughout the entire event, he was able to finish P4 with a chance of fighting for the podium. Unfortunately for him, though, the life in the soft tires died too quickly, and he wasn't able to stop Hülkenberg from his first career podium finish. When talking about the race, the seven-time world champion was adamant that it was a poor showing, but it's definitely a step in the right direction. As he said, "Well, mate, that was pretty bad overall. So much opportunity today that was missed. Thank you. We'll continue to push, and thanks to this mega crowd here. Sorry I couldn't bring you home." There were some interesting overtakes from Hamilton's side as well, such as this one in Turn 3. After Ocon and Russell engaged in a fight in heavy wet conditions, Hamilton decided to blast past them and take both of their places for himself. Furthermore, he completed a very tidy pass on Gasly as well, one that eventually put him in P4 in the race. But the fact was that even though the team made a very big leap in performance, and all of a sudden they feel confident in competing up front in qualifying, the car does feel a little bit unpredictable. The consistent problem is that Ferrari have no idea how they can keep the operating window precise for the SF25. And throughout the race, Lewis said that the car was very hard to drive because it's snappy like crazy. From Leclerc's side, the situation was a lot more miserable, but he's happy that there is a lot to learn from Lewis's pace. The Monegasque driver was adamant that his teammate had a lot more pace than him, probably because of the setup of the car, and it's what brought him in a position to be fighting for big points. Elaborating further on this, Charles said, "The only positive point is Lewis's performance. At least I'll be able to observe him to try and understand where I went wrong." Lewis Hamilton's pace, although much better than before, was far from perfect during the free practice sessions. We've seen that Ferrari has a very good opportunity to challenge the McLarens ahead if both of these cars are very close to each other. However, the rain was always going to play a huge factor in Hamilton and Leclerc's race, and ultimately it did. Elaborating further on the snappy behavior of the SF25 during Silverstone, Hamilton had a lot to say as he elaborated. "It's the worst feeling. It's not a great feeling. I'll tell you. It's when you just can't sit back and be confident. You can't lean on the rear end. When it's constantly snapping, you just have no confidence. The ultimate goal is to try and build confidence in the car, and then get faster and faster. It's like building a wall and knocking it down. When you can't build that confidence, then you're not really going anywhere. You're kind of in no man's land. It's kind of how I felt for most of the race." So, what can be taken away from this weekend? If you're a Ferrari fan, well, the upgrade that was brought in Austria and further complemented in Britain is not one that could have been learned more about to perfection due to the weather conditions in Silverstone. Obviously, when the weather was dry, Ferrari had tons of performance on the car, which was shown in the free practice sessions and the qualifying as well. Yes, Hamilton missed an opportunity to be in pole position, and a snap in the last corner cost him dearly. But at the end of the day, it's something that can change very easily from the next race onwards. What needs to be worked on is the strategy of the team, as Hamilton believes that there could have been a bit of a better job done in that regard. Elaborating about how strategy affected his home race, Hamilton said, "Not all of the calls were good ones. I think the first one wasn't a good call clearly, because we got undercut by a bunch of people. So, I'm not really sure what happened there. We'll have to go back and see what happened, but I obviously was P4 and came out P8. Then I chose to come in close to the right time, but it was super tricky when I got back out, and I lost a ton of time. I went off at turn 3, or whatever, turn 9, turn 11, etc. The primary reason as to why Hamilton feels the podium finish was not achievable was because of the slow-speed corners, or more precisely, the tires dropping off. According to Lewis, the car doesn't like those parts of the track because there's a lot of understeer, as he started locking up the front left and therefore couldn't keep up with Hülkenberg ahead. It is yet another victory in favor of the German driver if we consider the direct overtake in Spain for P6. But at the end of the day, Hamilton and Ferrari do have a lot to be happy about considering where they are after Austria. And that first call for Lewis to pit is something that needs to be discussed properly by the Ferrari leadership, because you can't have your driver being overtaken by 4 cars after he goes in the pit lane.